Welcome back, this is part 5 of What Happened to the Terminator series. Well, after the cancellation of the Sarah Connor Chronicles, I could have been tricked into thinking we'd seen the last of the Terminator series. But then along came Terminator Salvation, which now ignores the events of Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles and is instead a direct sequel to Terminator 3. All this ignoring and retconning, I wonder if the next movie to come out will ignore the events of this film and instead be a sequel to the goddamn theme park ride. Well, after a troubled pre-production involving numerous rights issues over the ownership of the franchise and multiple rewrites involving no less than 6 different writers, in 2009 we finally got to see Terminator Salvation. Starting off in the year 2003, death row inmate Marcus Wright, played by Sam Worthington, is executed by lethal injection shortly after signing his body to Cyberdyne Systems for medical research. Jump forward to the post-apocalyptic year 2018. The movie takes place in the early years of the War Against the Machines, where John Connor, played by Christian Bale, is working his way up to becoming the leader of the human resistance, leading an assault on a Skynet research facility. However, after the assault, out of the wreckage of the base emerges Marcus, who has absolutely no idea where he is or how he got there. As John and the Resistance leaders try to find out what Skynet has in store for them this time, Marcus begins to wander the barren wastelands of the future, trying to discover what his role in all this is. The movie is directed by MCG, the directors of the Charlie's Angels movies. Oh, fuck! Come on, are you serious? Fucking hell, Charlie's Angels. Well, that was my reaction when I first heard he was directing, but in all honesty, after watching the movie, MCG actually does a pretty good job from the directing standpoint. The cinematography and editing in the film is great. All too many movies today use a combination of rapid cuts with extreme shaky close-ups in an attempt to make their movies seem more action-packed, but more often than not it just makes them so that you can't see what the hell is going on. Terminator Salvation, on the other hand, clearly taking its cues from the brilliant Children of Men, instead opts for these pulled back wide shots with very fluid and smooth movement in sequences that are edited to appear as if they were filmed in one long take. This is much better, since it actually allows the audience to observe the action. And sure, the desaturated look is really overused these days in countless movies and video games, but it's actually appropriate here. The movie takes place in a world ravaged by nuclear fire. Anything that had green in it was destroyed, and everything that's left over is covered with ash. My only complaint with the look of the film is that it's inconsistent with the visual style portrayed in the Cameron films, but it still looks good. The special effects in the movie are amazing. This is due to the fact that most of the time, they don't even use special effects at all. The vehicular stunts in the film for the most part consist of real cars and planes going at it, flying and smashing and crashing into each other. And most of the explosions you see in the film are on-set, full-scale pyrotechnics. There's none of that green screen bullshit either. The movie is shot on-set and on location. And when they do use special effects, more often than not they use traditional animatronics and puppets made by the man himself, Stan Winston. Sadly, Winston died during the film's production, but the movie really does feature some of his team's best work. There's a great use of miniatures as well for a lot of the buildings, which are seamlessly composited into the film. And as much as I'm not a fan of computer effects, they're bloody fantastic in this movie. There's a scene where John is being chased by a T-800, and seriously, a lot of the time, I can't even tell the difference between the shots that are animatronic and those that are CGI. It's that good. The effects are so good, they don't even look like effects anymore. They just look real. They've even got a T-800 in this movie, portrayed by a bodybuilder stand-in with a CGI Arnold Schwarzenegger face. This effect is a little more hit and miss. On one hand, it's great to see a young 1980s era Arnold again, and in some of the shots it does look seamless. But other times, it just looks cartoony. The action scenes in the film are a blast as well. The movie is packed with great action choreography and stunt work. I mean, that car chase that starts at the petrol station with the giant harvester, leading to a chase through the desert with the Moto Terminators, ending up on a bridge against the HK was just friggin' brilliant. So the movie has good action, good effects, good cinematography, good music. The only real problem is the writing. And oh boy is the writing bad. I mean, Jesus Christ. The writing in this movie is so bad, it
It
actually
stinks.
manages to ruin what was otherwise a good movie. The plot in the movie makes no sense at all. It's an absolute mess. The movie revolves around Skynet's plan to assassinate John Connor by resurrecting Marcus as a human-machine hybrid, but it's probably one of the most convoluted and ridiculously circuitous plan I have ever seen in a movie. In fact, let me just summarize Skynet's plan for you right now. Skynet's plan goes as follows. Step 1. Bring Marcus back to life as a human-machine hybrid, but who still thinks he's human, is still allied with the humans, and has apparently not been programmed to enact any of Skynet's plans. Step 2. Release Marcus into the world and leave him to just wander around aimlessly, having no idea what the fuck he's supposed to be doing, all the while having any Terminators who spot him try to kill him, therefore jeopardizing Skynet's own plan. Step 3. Hope Marcus will just happen to run into Kyle Reese, who Skynet somehow knows will become John Connor's father, and rather than programming Marcus to kill Kyle, therefore ensuring John will never be born, instead have Marcus team up with him. Step 4. Send Terminators out to capture Kyle Reese, all the while allowing Marcus to try protect him. Once Kyle is captured, again, instead of just killing him, they bring him back to Skynet's main base to be used as bait in a trap for John Connor. Step 5. Have Marcus again just wander around aimlessly some more, hoping he will randomly run into John Connor. When he does, don't just have Marcus kill John, but instead have him tell John Kyle is at the Skynet's main base, hoping John will by himself, without backup, personally go in to rescue him. Step 6. Now for Skynet's masterstroke. Set a trap for John inside the base that consists of one single unarmed naked Terminator. And step 7, tell Marcus this entire plan, therefore allowing him to save John and then help blow up Skynet's main base. This plan is an absolute disgrace. It's no wonder Skynet loses the damn war. The actors are okay, they give a good performance all things considered, but they're given nothing to work with. Christian Bale is perfectly cast in the role of John Connor, but the poor guy just doesn't have anything to go on. The movie does try to reflect the Christ figure aspect that was hinted at in the previous films, but overall, there's no real depth or complexity to his character. Pretty much all he does throughout the film is stand around and look tough, and for some reason, Bale still seems to think he's playing Batman, doing this raspy voice like it's some kind of Clint Eastwood impersonation.
I'll be back.
Seriously, man, you and me, we're fucking done professionally.
Terminator fans have been waiting for years to see a Terminator movie set in the future starring a grown John Connor. But funnily enough, most of the movie's focus is on the other character, Marcus Wright. Marcus makes for a slightly more interesting character because more screen time is spent with him, and it's easy for the audience to relate to how lost he feels in this strange world. But that said, it's still odd that we're focusing on this guy instead of John. Why is Marcus the hero of the movie? John's the guy we came to see after all. The whole part of the film about him being a human-robot hybrid, while being an interesting concept, is just confusing. The movie does use him in an attempt to examine the philosophy behind what separates a man from machine, you know, whether androids dream of electric sheep and whatnot, but it's too hard for me to get involved in his character's personal struggle because I'm too busy wondering how the fuck Skynet thought their ridiculous plan to get Marcus to lure John into a trap would work. There are a couple of other side characters in the film, such as Moon Bloodgood as Blair Williams and Bryce Dallas Howard as John's wife Kate Connor, but they don't really seem to have that much of an impact on the film's plot. In fact, the only other important character in the film is Anton Yelchin as Kyle Reese.
Come with me if you want to live.
He does a pretty good job. He kinda looks like a young Michael Biehn and effectively manages to recreate his character. But again, he just doesn't have anything to work with. The dialogue in the film is stale, the plot points predictable, and there's not enough scenes of character development. The movie just seems to rush from action scene to action scene. That's fine if that's all you want to see, but it's disappointing if you want to have more depth. The Terminators also seem to be really overpowered. The T-800 can survive being hit with a grenade launcher 3 times and covered in molten lead, even though the Terminator in the first film was blown in half by a pipe bomb. Plus, the Terminators have a really nasty habit of just throwing people around during fights, even though they're clearly shown as being strong enough to punch through steel doors and rip other Terminators in half. You're telling me he can punch through a door, but he can't punch through a man's head? And a lot of the plot points in the film just make no sense at all. From the contrived radio signal that the Resistance discovers that can disable the Terminators, which turns out to be some kind of weird ploy on behalf of the robots, to the fact that a so-called infiltration Terminator disguised as a human is 8 feet tall with a minigun on its arm, to the fact that a giant, deafeningly loud Harvester Terminator can somehow sneak up on people, to the fact that the Terminators inexplicitly know that Kyle Reese is the father of John Connor, as well as all the other events from the previous movies, to the complete lack of security at the Skynet base, with only about 3 active Terminators in the entire place, right up to the fact that John can survive being stabbed through the heart with a piece of metal so long as he has an on-the-field heart transplant with Marcus, who just happens to be a compatible donor. The movie's plot just has so many holes in it, I'd swear the script was typed on Swiss cheese. Terminator Salvation has a lot of flaws, but when it comes to the film overall, I actually appreciated the film more than I thought I would. Though it severely lacks the depth of the first 2 Terminator films, the production values are top notch, and the movie is rather entertaining from an action standpoint. In all honesty, I actually liked the film more than I did Terminator 3 and Sarah Connor Chronicles. See, Terminator 3 felt like it was just phoned in. They didn't try to add any new ideas to the series' mythology, and no real effort was put into its creation. It was just a cash grab, pure and simple. The TV series was a potentially interesting concept, but it suffered from a poorly thought out plotline and the restrictions of television production standards. Terminator Salvation, on the other hand, at least had its heart in the right place. Terminator Salvation might have some serious issues, but at least they tried with this one. And for that, they earn a little bit of my respect. Geez, first I hate on Sarah Connor Chronicles, then I praise Salvation. This isn't going to be too popular. Yeah, fuck you, stop downvoting. Now we've got talks of a 5th Terminator film, as either a sequel to Terminator Salvation, possibly with Arnie back in the lead, or as an animated reboot called Terminator 3000. There are also rumours about making a finale to the TV series as either a direct-to-DVD movie or a new season on the Sci-Fi Channel, but nothing's certain on that one. If there's one thing that is certain, it's that this series, like any good Terminator, refuses to die. I'll be back with more reviews.